Let's check out some old art. Oh no! This is the face I often make when I find out I have a load of edge highlights to paint. The face of unhappiness. Everybody hates edge highlights. So here we have one of my favourite humans of the Warhammer 40,000 setting, an Imperial Guardsman of the Rogue Trader era by who we think is Dave Gallagher. We're not 100% sure, but it looks a lot like his work. If you can confirm or deny this, then please let us all know in the comments below. Now this Imperial Guardsman hails from possibly the greatest of all Imperial Guard regiments, the Necromundan 8th Regiment, the Spiders. I'm sure you've all heard of these guys. There's a weird discrepancy when it comes to these chaps. Most people refer to them as the Necromundan Spiders, but some of the artwork captions say they're actually from the Arcadian Regiment. Are the Necromundians part of the Arcadian Regiment, or is it a foul up somewhere else? I need to dig deeper. Now I don't think I'm alone in saying this, but those grey fatigues with the black tiger striping combined with the big black flak jacket is the best look of any Imperial Guard regiment ever. And I'm a big Elysian Drop Troop fan too. It just looks so good. I don't know who came up with the scheme, but well done that man or lady. Also on that man is one of the biggest, chunkiest zips I think I've ever seen. Why is it so big? Now the flak jacket with the zip the guardsman is wearing has some interesting looking additions to it. Notably some graffiti like things. The heart he has painted on there, I reckon, is heavily inspired by a similar one a colonial marine has on his armour in Aliens. Was it Hicks who had the heart? I can't remember, but that does give me an excuse to go and watch it again. My name's Marcel, and this is Snakeworks. Now all of those guardsmen had little bits of graffiti all over their body armour and their helmets. I've never met anyone who managed to graffiti their own helmet before. Where do you think they got the armour graffiti inspiration from anyway? Was it a thing in the Vietnam War? Did the soldiers paint their armour and customise it there? Or does it even go back to World War II or something? You also see it, I think I said it before, in the Aliens movie. A few of them do it in that. Actually, I think all of them do it. One of the Marines, I forget who it was, even had a little padlock on the heart that was on their armour. It was fantastic. Okay now Mr. Titan, if you could just look straight at the camera and smile, say cheese! Alrighty everybody, so what we have here is a famous Warhammer 40,000 vehicle, a Warhound Titan. This time by another of the most famous designers in all of Warhammer history, Mr. Jes Goodwin. I reckon you all know who he is. Now I don't think I'm the only person in the world to think that Warhound Titans are pretty cool. Much cooler in fact than their big brothers, Warlord Titans. However, their coolness, much like their height, does fall short of the Reaver Titan, the best of the Titan classes. Warhound Titans are known for their slender and lithe physiques, a lot like myself. However, this one is even more slender and lithe. It's like a supermodel version of a Warhound. Can you remember when supermodels were a big deal in the early 90s? It was Supermodel Cindy and Supermodel Naomi. They were the days. Anyway, these old Warhounds look a little different to today's. Today's ones are a little chunkier. If they're better or not is subjective though. So today's big question is, which is the better Warhound Titan design? The old one or the new one? Or one of the weird middle ones that no one really remembers? Now Titans always had the same old weapons. They had a small pool to pick from, especially the Warhounds. I think the weapons we can see here are a plasma blast gun, the ribbed one, and perhaps the double-barreled one is a turbo laser. I don't think it's any of the bolter types, but if you know, let us all know. As is to be expected from a Rogue Trader era 40k piece, the Titan has some bloody wonderful banners attached to it, one on the top and one on the weapons. The one up top with the wolf head says Canis Bellum. Can anyone translate that? Does it mean metal wolf or something? Hard wolf? I don't know. Also, on the side of the carapace is a massive purity seal. Imagine how much wax they take to make one at that size. Here we have 4 of the happiest people I think I've ever seen in the whole of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. A proper little band of brothers. Band of Brothers was a very good TV show, by the way, and I recommend giving it a watch. So these guys here are Imperial Guardsmen, or troopers depending on if they were drawn before the name change or not. The name was changed from Imperial Army to the Imperial Guard at some point in early 40k. Anyway, this fantastic piece was created by Paul Bonner, another fantastic 40k artist. You'll notice that all of these guardsmen are wearing the exact same uniform. They are in fact uniform in their appearance. You'll notice they also all have the same attire on as the guy in the first colour piece of art, although it's drawn a little differently due to it being a different artist, of course. Expert Oldhammer Imperial Guard spotters will know that these chaps belong in tactical squads. We know this because of the arrows on their helmets. I don't have an arrow on my helmet, but I already know which way to point it. The designations, like these arrows, also had a colour coding to them. Tactical was red, assault was blue, and yellow was command. Although I think I might have got the red and blue the wrong way round. Someone please confirm or deny that for me. Now these lads, these Imperial Guard members, have a lot of face paint on their faces, funnily enough. Now I do wonder if they're actually tattoos and had them done before they joined the Imperial Guard. Or maybe they all did it together after joining, like that scene in Starship Troopers.
We're gonna fight! And we're gonna win! Yeah!
These geezers also have a lot of different button badges dotted about their person, mainly on their shoulder pads and also on their hats. What sort of badges are these? Part of their uniform, or are they personal items and effects? Now what sort of absolute idiot would attach badges to their own hat? Now by the way, if you have any Warhammer related badges that you don't want, let me know and I'll happily add them to my hat. Now if you fancy chatting Warhammer badges or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to come along and join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. There's a link in the description below and I'll stick one up here for you as well. We look forward to chatting to you there. We have here a snapshot of a battle from the early days of Adeptus Titanicus, portraying Imperials versus traitors. The artist's signature is that of AM, who we think is probably Ali Morrison, a famous name in early Warhammer 40,000. So we have here 3 Titans, and one of them has been destroyed. I'm not able to work out who is on whose side. Was the destroyed one loyalist or traitor? I can't see any markings to decide. Whatever the case may be, it's a 2v1, so they've just won, or now it's a 1v1. All of these Titans are Warlord Titans. This isn't really a huge surprise, as that's all that came in the original boxed game of Adeptus Titanicus. The art was probably drawn up before they even finished designing or releasing the other Titans, like Warhounds and Grievers. By the way, I'm still after a nice copy of Adeptus Titanicus, so if you've got a line on a good copy, then please let me know. Also, dotted about the piece, running around the Titans' feet and in little vehicles, are the Imperial Guard. or the Imperial Army as they were known at the time. I do actually think Imperial Guard sounds better than Imperial Army, so I think that was one change that was for the better. Interestingly, the Imperial Army here are using a lot of tech they're unable to field nowadays, things like land raiders and land speeders. This is a shame, and I feel now Marines have moved on to the Primaris stuff, the Guard can have all their old toys again. You know, you probably noticed this too, but those little people running around everywhere are not actually Imperial Guard at all, are they? They're Space Marines. I should have known this, as the art predates the Imperial Guard in Epic by a fair few months. Terrible behaviour from myself. Please feel free to report me to the hobby police, because I don't give a shit. The reason I assumed they were Imperial Guard was because of what appears to be rapiers on the left. I saw those and I just thought, Guard. Also, those rapiers are huge. Huh.
Okay then, Mr. Smith, if you would just be so good as to drop your pants and bend over, we can begin your inspection.
Oh dear, this doesn't look like it's going to be fun, does it? This here is a very serious looking man. He doesn't appear to want to put up with any of our shit. The same look I get from Mrs. Snakeworks when I suggest doing something exciting, like breakdancing in the living room or flying a kite. This piece is by another great Warhammer 40,000 artist, Pete Knifton. Now have a look at this guy's head. Check out that hairstyle. It's a nice one, isn't it? It's some sort of triple-bladed mohawk thing. Does such a cut have a name? It's the sort of thing I expect to see the local yobs sporting on my old council estate. Would any of you dare to have a haircut like this? I very much doubt it. Another rather interesting physical attribute of this grumpy-looking gentleman is his hand. His left hand. Look at that. I think his hand has been replaced by some sort of prosthetic. Or is that a bionic limb or something? It doesn't really look like it would have any sort of function apart from sticking into plug sockets like R2-D2. Everyone enjoys sticking their fingers into holes. It also looks a bit like the end of a fluorescent tube. Maybe he lights up when he plugs it in. Hey Steve, lighten up. Okay. Lighten up, get it? He's a light bulb? I'll get my coat. I would like you to bring your attention now to this gentleman's face, specifically his chin. He appears to have a zip that begins at his chin, runs down his neck, onto his flak jacket. Is that the case, or does he just have a chin tattoo that's exactly the same as his zip, camouflaging it? I do find that a little confusing. In the background, on the left-hand side of the piece, is some sort of ground vehicle. Probably some sort of tank, although it looks like no Warhammer 40,000 tank that I know of. There is one interesting feature, however, that does remind me of something: the front bumper. The rounded texture of that reminds me of the same part on a Captain Scarlet SPV. 10 internet cookies if you know what one of those is.
Let's check out some old art.
Now the SPVs, or Spectrum Pursuit Vehicles, the things from Captain Scarlet, are one of the best vehicle designs ever, in my opinion of course. A lot of the Jerry Anderson designs featured in his shows like Terrorhawks and Thunderbirds and things like that were all really good. I thoroughly recommend going to have a look at some of them if you haven't seen them before. Stingray, that one was cool as well. Joe 90 was a bit sucky though, although the bomb trucks in that, the explosive trucks, look absolutely amazing. Fireball XL5, that was brilliant. Now speaking of things that are brilliant, if you're enjoying this video then please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Jerry. If you are enjoying the content on the channel then please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you can even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below.
Oh, look out! There's a huge herd of beastmen coming straight for us!
Now, would herd be the correct term for a big squad of these guys, or would that be considered inappropriate? I reckon it would, as these guys are still technically human, right? And not beasts? It's confusing. Also, this scene reminds me of an experience from my youth. I once upset a goose, but around the corner was all of its mates, and the whole herd of them chased me down a farm roadway, hissing and squawking. It was terrifying. It was like a scene from Aliens. Now these days we don't really see much of the Beastmen in Warhammer 40,000, which I think is a bit of a shame, as they are a cool unit in my opinion. Sadly, they have been relegated to just a couple of characters in Necromunda, I think. Maybe even just the one. I would like to see them return. Anyway, this piece is by Pete Knifton, 40k artist powerhouse, and everyone loves his work. What I find fascinating, and I bet you do too, is that Beastmen in Warhammer 40,000 are loyalists, loyal to the Imperium, loyal to humanity as it were. However, in Warhammer Fantasy and all the tat that comes with that, Beastmen are evil. I think they're always chaos aligned too, but I'm no fantasy expert, so I might be wrong. I wonder what the reason for the change between fantasy and 40k was. The lead beastman here, the guy in the front at the middle, appears to be much better equipped than all of the other beastmen. Perhaps this is due to his officer status as a sergeant or something. I would assume the better ranked guys get the better gear. When it comes to the top man's equipment upgrades, the first thing I noticed was that big breastplate. I would assume this is a fantastic golden job, like the officer on that old Necromundan art piece. If you know, you know. He also has what appears to be either a spiky sword or a chainsword and a pistol. I can't actually identify what sort of pistol that is, so if you can, then please let us all know. Unfortunately for the other beastmen, they just get random melee weapons and wife-beater vests at most, like my old school teachers. There are a couple of more interesting weapons in there, like the Morning Stars, just spiky metal balls on sticks. As kids, we always called them Bommy Knockers, and I've no idea where we got that name from. Also, my autocorrect changed it from Bommy Knocker to Mummy Knockers, and that's something very different. Good old autocorrect, eh? Some fantastic artwork there. If you want to see some more Oldhammer art themed videos, then check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.